Hello everyone, another update for Saturday. So what do we talk about today? Well, Zachary slept pretty good last night. He woke up a few times. We all slept decent last night. Zachary, today he's walking a little bit stronger every day. His legs are still very, very bent, and we're going to have to do some physical therapy on him. And he can't walk on his own, but he comes along and he's eating well. He is so hungry, which is wonderful because he lost a lot of weight from being sick, and his lung capacity is horrible. The poor kid takes 2 steps and he's huffing and puffing, and so those lungs are going to have to get exercised more and be able to handle more activity after being down. Yeah, he's not going to run any marathons, as Tim says. That's true. Yeah, you'll be able to catch him if he tries to run. So today's been just a day of eating, taking care of things. Tim's taking care of business, different things, answering emails, and ministering to people. I had to take a huge nap because I sort of crashed. Not sort of, did. And got some laundry done because, well, Zachary keeps us in the laundry business. We do have job security for sure, right? If we don't do laundry, then, we don't cover Zachary's back end. So sometimes, service means working even on Saturday. You serve the ones you love and help them out to have a better life. Even the priests had to work on Saturday, and so therefore sometimes it just has to happen, especially when somebody's recovering. So that's what's happening today. We have some ministry to do today, and the rest of it is just eating and trying to rest and recover from everything. So yesterday I was sharing that I had a really rough day yesterday. And I want to talk about that rough day in a little more detail because I think it can be a great example and helpful. Many people don't like to talk about these things that they struggle with. And for me, I want to share the things that I struggle with because it gives the opportunity to see that how to take your struggles in life and how to make them work for you instead of against you. So yesterday I had an interesting time where, the whole time with Zachary, I was able to stay in faith. It didn't bother me real bad. I knew God was with us. I walked it out, and I knew that everything was above me. There was no way that I could fix it all. With yesterday, I had all these small things. And sometimes the small things are the things where we can get out of line the easiest, more than the big things. So what do I mean? Well, I had a few things happening at once. I came home, and of course, there's the house is really, really dirty. It backs up. We all were working very, very hard, and you just can't keep up with stuff. And that means that Katrina gets allergies. So when we don't have it cleaned up, I get allergies in our house, so that makes it really tough. So I had an allergy problems yesterday, taking care of Zachary, doing the normal stuff of the household stuff, and trying to catch up with all the stuff that got put behind with Zachary so sick. And not only that, for the past few months I've seen this, but yesterday it just really became obvious. Yesterday and the day before, it became obvious that my hair is falling out. And many people will probably go, yeah, well, it was tough. I have to admit, it was tough. I had to really go slow and breathe on it. And the other thing that happened was, there was 3 things that happened. What was the other one? I can't even remember. But I got slapped and swiped by a few things. Yeah, I was cold. I had a really hard time getting warm, which just drains me. It really drains me hard. And when I get like that, I have to go very quiet so that I don't use my mouth wrong. What ends up happening for me is I feel like attacking Tim and saying that Tim is keeping the temperature wrong, or if he would help me with this, then I wouldn't lose my hair, or he's not taking care of Zachary right, and Zachary should have this and this and this, and we should do this for Zachary. And Tim says, no, we don't need those things. And I'm going, yes, we do. So we have a difference of opinion on how to take care of Zachary. And, you sound, I have in the past, I admit, I have sounded like a constant dripping on the roof that Proverbs talks about. And, we think that we can try to make things perfect and have it our way and try to be in control of things and think that it's everyone else's fault. Or we can turn inward and we can blame ourselves that, if we had the power to take care of, like, for instance, in my case, Zachary properly, or if I had the power to buy whatever cream for my hair, I wouldn't lose my hair. Then everything would be fine and I should just work for it and I shouldn't complain. God, how could you let this happen? I'm a faithful servant. Why are you allowing Zachary not to have everything that I think he should have? And that reminds me that is exactly what the children of Israel did. The children of Israel complained to God and to Moses, wanted to kill Moses and Aaron many times over, and complained when things were uncomfortable. So they had a worse problem than my hair, obviously. Although I think these days we would probably have the same emotional response as them, or similar many times. I think some of us would anyway. I'll admit, I went to the edge of emotionally feeling that way. I was really sad. I was really hard. And they complained over and over again. And God wasn't happy with that. And the biggest part is that Christ himself said in Luke chapter 12 verse 7 and Matthew chapter 10 verse 30 that even the hairs of our head are all numbered. Yeah, God has to work out a little less on some than others, and obviously a little less on me now. And he can fix this. I'm at the age where my hormones are changing, and that it can happen. It just can happen. So it says, fear not. You are more valuable than many sparrows. So if the hairs on my head are falling out, if I am fearing and getting afraid and scared, and I am afraid of what I think Zachary doesn't have, and what I think the allergies, I have to walk around with a mask, and peppermint oil to put underneath my nose. If I start believing and complaining that I don't have enough, like they started complaining that they didn't have enough water, the Israelites, that they didn't have enough water and enough food, and they were brought out to die in the wilderness, instead of stay in the land of Egypt where they had leeks and melons. Even though they were being killed, they were being persecuted really hard, and yet they're complaining about their leeks and their melons. So that's how much we get off track, instead of coming humbly before God and saying, listen, these are my problems. This is my life. I'm not afraid. You are going to do with it what you will, and I am going to keep my attitude under control and just come to you and ask for help, ask for water, ask for food, ask for these things, knowing that he is faithful and he hears and takes care of all my needs, because I am more of value than many sparrows. So I wanted to leave with the last part to back up everything I'm talking about in 1 Corinthians chapter 10. It's a good read. It talks about the Israelites and it talks about Christ. I'm going to start in verse 6. Now these things became examples for us, the things that the Israelites went through, so that we will not desire evil things as they did. Focusing your sight on the physical things that can fall apart, the physical things like my hair, like our health, like they are important things, but they can become too important. So don't become idolaters, as some of them were. which means to make them more important than God is and his way, which is his way is loving him with your whole heart and being grateful for everything he's given to you and grateful for whatever he allows you not to have as well. For as it is written, the people sat down to eat and drink and got up to play. So they cast off restraints. I talked about restraints one time, and they did what they wanted to do and partied on. Let us not commit sexual immorality as some of them did, and in a single day 23,000 people fell dead. That really happened. Let us not test Christ as some of them did and were destroyed by snakes. God does not like it when we complain. He allows us to go through tests, and we test him back by complaining. And you can have some really bad things. God usually folds his hands. He might let you get away with it for a little while, but the more you get to know him, the more complaining he tends to come back and spank your hiney that it just doesn't work. Nor should we complain as some of them did and were killed by the destroyer. This is all an example for us. This is what Paul is saying. Now these things happened to them as examples, and they were written as a warning to us on whom the ends of the ages have come. So whoever thinks he stands must be careful not to fall. Okay? So these are the times when we have these things going on where we fall out of loving God with our whole heart, our might and our soul, and loving our neighbor, withholding judgment on our neighbor and withholding judgment on ourselves. Do you wish things were better? Are people to blame sometimes? Even if they are, withholding the judgment, those that withhold judgment is withheld from them. Love covers a multitude of sins. If you have a very tough day, be really careful how you use your mouth. And I just go slow, and I admit it. When I could calm down and emotionally compose myself later in the day, I told Tim up front, look, I'm having a really difficult day, and I don't want to push that on you, so I'm being really careful and silent today. And he laughed at me, and he doesn't like it when I'm like that, but he knows better than to let me rip. And then I could calmly tell him all the emotions and all the stuff that was going on for me at the same time, that was pushing all my buttons at the same time, and do it in a way to share honestly what was going on, but do it from a place of understanding that I am to be respectful, to be loving, and to look to God for my expectations, not to any man or even to myself. So 1 Corinthians chapter 10 goes on to say, from where I left off in verse 13, no temptation has overtaken you except what is common to humanity. God is faithful, and he will not allow you to be tempted beyond what you are able, but with the temptation he will also provide a way of escape so that you are able to bear it. Now, to get a hold of that way of escape, you have to go slow. When things really push your buttons, you have to go slow. Now, some of you, when you hear about my hair situation, the hair raising situations I had yesterday are going to want to try to save my hair. Some of you are going to say, that's the worst of your problems? Boy, you've got it good. Everyone's going to have probably, or, oh, I can relate, I've got something going on. All of those responses, just be aware of them and look at them. But in the end, praise God. In all things, I am going to allow my hairy situations be to the glory of God. And I hope that you guys can learn how to let these things that seem serious fall underneath and submit to God, including attitudes, and walk forward anyway in what needs to be done with a heart that's open for help, and not staying hard at wanting to complain and judge other people or judge yourself as wrong or even God as wrong. So I hope this helps for the day. That's the Saturday message, and we'll see what happens on Sunday. God bless you all.